What's up, Ravens fans? It's time to hear from you guys in this week's Ravens Mailbag. Lots of questions about the draft this week. The Ravens held their annual pre-draft luncheon, so that's where we're going to start things off today. The first question is from Ryan Bratton 2, and the question here is, do you think that drafting NKeal Harry or A.J. Brown, both wide receivers, in the first round is realistic?
Yes, I think that drafting one of those guys is very realistic. I mean, obviously the Ravens have a need at wide receiver. They only have two guys who have caught a pass in the NFL on the roster. NKeal Harry is a big-bodied, physical, what John Harbaugh's been talking about in wide receivers, that he wants in a wide receiver, physical, likes to block, gritty, all that stuff. That's NKeal Harry. Then you talk about A.J. Brown. I mean, here's a guy with high production at Ole Miss, fast guy. He's also a bigger guy, not as big as DK Metcalf, but he's a bigger guy. I mean, I think either of those guys could certainly be a first-round pick for the Ravens. But there are a bunch of other names. I bring up DK Metcalf. There's Paris Campbell. There's a bunch of guys. Hakeem Butler. There's a cluster of wide receivers that I think could go anywhere in that late first, early second, mid-second round. It all really kind of depends on who do the Ravens see as a good fit in this offense, I think, and we don't know the answers to that. But could they take one in the first round? Sure. I think they could trade back and take one late in the first round. I think they could trade back and take one early or midway through the second round. But I would kind of be surprised if they don't come away with one of those guys. It would kind of surprise me.
I think the Ravens are certainly going to draft, obviously, a receiver at some point, and I think that's going to happen first, second, maybe third round at the absolute latest. All right, let's keep it moving. The question here is from Harry Schwartz, and Harry wants to know, with the decisions that Eric DeCosta has made this offseason, how is his approach different or similar from Ozzie's? Well, I think that generally speaking, these guys are kind of cut from the same cloth. Certainly, there's variables with each of them. I think that one thing Eric DeCosta has made a concerted effort to do this offseason is to try to get the salary cap back in line. And I think that he's done that from a couple of different ways. When you look at the reported figures on these deals that they've signed with Earl Thomas and Mark Ingram, I think that they want to kind of flatten out those deals rather than do some of these back-loaded deals like the Ravens had done in previous years. Obviously, the Ravens are still putting a high priority on compensatory picks. That's something that's still important. That's something that Ozzie did as well. And then when it comes to the draft, something that I think is going to be the case is Eric loves the game. He talked about that during the pre-draft luncheon. He likes the game. He said he kind of compared it to a game of Risk. He said, this game we can't lose. And so he likes the idea of moving around, also playing with the media, kind of throwing out some smoke screens.
To us included.
Yes, absolutely. He's not going to tell us anything, but I think that those are the kinds of things that he likes. So when it comes to trading, you talked about possibly trading in that first round. I would not be surprised at all if the Ravens look to do that.
I would actually be surprised if the Ravens pick at number 22. That's how confident
I agree. I think if you're asking, is it more likely for the Ravens to pick at number 22 or pick elsewhere, I'm going with the field.
Yeah, I agree. Last question comes from Patrick Nicholas, and the question is, any chance the Ravens re-sign Brent Urban? So this is an interesting one. I really thought that Brent Urban would not be a free agent at this point. Did I expect him to sign a mega deal on day one? No. But I thought now, 2-3 weeks removed from the start of free agency, that he would be playing somewhere. I think part of it is he didn't have sacks last year. He didn't have a ton of splash plays. But you look at it, and here's a guy who, on the number one defense, on one of the best run defenses in the league, and he was a 16-game starter at defensive end. Like, how does no team have interest so far in Brent Urban? The unfortunate part for the Ravens is that I think that it's costing them a compensatory pick. If he signed elsewhere, it would free up another compensatory pick in next year's draft for the Ravens. So they're probably hoping that somebody picks him up. But at this point, it could come after the May 10th deadline that people have. If you sign after that, it doesn't affect compensatory picks. Now, to the question, whether the Ravens re-sign Brent Urban, I don't think so. I think if they were going to have done that, they would have done it already. They like what they have in Chris Wormley, and let's not forget about Willie Henry, who was a player that we were all buzzing about last offseason as a potential breakout candidate. So, Brent, I think he'll play somewhere this year. I don't expect it to be in Baltimore. I expect probably in a month or so he'll sign somewhere.
And it just depends on how long that's going to take. So that's it for us this week. Next week we'll answer the question, how long Mink's beard's going to get. We'll see.
It's the draft beard.
It's the draft beard? You're going to keep it going?
What do you think? I just couldn't find my razor after I got back from vacation. I'm sorry.
I got you. All right, as always, we love to hear from you guys. Send in those questions every single week on social media using the hashtag RavensMailbag. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.